Only 7 times out of 21 this season have Louisville City FC failed to come away from a match with all 3 points. One of those games, however, came against the Charleston Battery earlier this season. Now, as the season series shifts to Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky, for a broadcast brought to you by Baptist Health. Alongside Devin Kerr, I'm Joe Malva. Happy to have you along this evening as we take a look at the standings here in the Eastern Conference. Right now, it's really a 2-horse race. Memphis still lurking, but it's all about Louisville and Tampa Bay. The arms race they've had with each other at the top of the table every week, ping-ponging back and forth between 1 and 2, depending on who has the upper hand in terms of the games played. Right now, it's Louisville. Later, it could be Tampa. All we know is they are by far 2 of the best teams in all of the league.
I'll make it even easier for you, because as we talk virtually right now, Joe, the Rowdies knotted up with Detroit City. Pittsburgh Riverhounds leading Indy. This is a 3-point race in the Eastern Conference right now. 12 games unbeaten for the Rowdies, approaching double digits for Louisville City. 7 right now. Victory on the road against El Paso Locomotive. Got to be much more truculent in their ways tonight in their matchup. But how do you do it against the Charleston Battery squad that is streaking themselves? The results have been better because about a month and a half back, Connor Casey changed everything. The dynamic moving forward, defensively switched into a 3-back, still finds a way to get their guy up top, Augustine Williams, going with 11 goals on the season. If they can bring all 3 separate units together, this team could eventually be a force to be reckoned with. Rob Salvatore, their owner, talking with him directly, he says, we have belief, now we need to get results.
It all depends on whether or not they can get through Super Drew tonight. He is your Commonwealth Credit Union player to watch. Signed a 1-day contract with the club this week.
8-year-old in Christmas Eve of 2018 was diagnosed with medulloblastoma. It's a grade 4 glioma, and basically it's very serious cancerous brain tumor. Lou City steps in. He's gone over 1 year and 30 scans free of cancer for that young man. He is the Commonwealth Credit Union player to watch. He's a vision and inspiration everywhere within the Louisville City community. Play him up front. He's got wheels. He's versatile, and he likes to play a little bit in goal. Sign him up.
We'll see if the boys in purple can get him a victory tonight as they welcome the Charleston Battery. It's Louisville City FC and the Charleston Battery next from Lynn Family Stadium.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
So as someone that's loved meteorology my whole life, it's basically I've always been interested in the kind of look-up part of Earth and what surrounds it. I was a storm chaser many years ago in college. I love scuba diving, and then it got to the point where I, took the leap and jumped into astrophotography. Now, what's the kind of constant in there? It's a camera. I feel like it's that creative outlet for me. I think that's the craziest thing about this hobby is you just are constantly blown away. Everything you target, but there's really fulfilling when you get done and you see this thing that's sitting in space or another galaxy that has 1 billion stars in it. I find weather in particular so incredibly fascinating. And I love that every night that I can kind of share a little bit about what I love.
After being cooped up all spring, it's time to get outside and enjoy the summer of now. With amazing rates, Adventure Loans from Commonwealth Credit Union let you hit the road, or no road at all, with UTVs, ATVs, and motorcycles, and our recreational loans for boats, motorhomes, and campers. This year, make the most of every day and stay cool for the summer with Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
With a new Toyota, you can practically make summer stand still. From making a splash in a Highlander to fitting in more fun in a Camry or tackling a trailhead in a RAV4 hybrid. Who's a good boy? Enjoy the last of summer in an exciting new Toyota during Toyota's national sales event.
Save big on the best-selling SUV Toyota RAV4, like this electrified RAV4 hybrid with fuel savings over $3,700. Save even more with 1.9 APR financing.
Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Back here at Lynn Family Stadium, players taking the field, including the captain tonight, Super Drew, as he walks out holding the hand of Niall McCabe. We take a look at the starting lineups for both clubs tonight, brought to you by Craft House Pizza. For Danny Cruz and Louisville, it's a rather straightforward lineup.
Well, it's an opportunity for Amadou Dia to come back in after the birth of his child, and Mushagalusa will come onto the front line. The midfield three have become this relationship of an ebb and flow that's got the greatest understanding of when to go and when to stay. Manny Perez finally healthy. They're still really trying to get that full 90 minutes out of him, and the front line next to Mushagalusa of Harris and Ownby has proved quite lucrative. Connor Casey and the Charleston Battery, they make a couple of changes of their own. Robbie Crawford, the Charleston Battery great, is into the middle, not on the back line as we've seen a couple of times so far, next to Damodoro. DZ Harmon will slide in over to the right-hand flank under Enoch Kwakwa. I wonder what this front three can do with Piggott, Williams, and Kwakwa. Piggott has become very accustomed to dropping down underneath into the pocket. He's got to maintain a presence underneath Augustine Williams, but not too far to the left, so Charlie Asensio can get down into the channel.
Joshua Encarnacion sends us on our way. It's Louisville and Charleston from Lynn Family Stadium. That sun will be streaming in on Kyle Morton for the duration of half number one. If you're Charleston, get as many that way as you can. Easier said than done. And just to keep you updated on the other happenings right now as we kick off here at the 8 o'clock hour, you've got Pittsburgh up 1-0 on Indy at the half. Loudoun, LA scoreless. Tampa Bay, Detroit scoreless. And plenty more where that came from as the evening goes along. Mushagalusa lines it up. It's out in Charleston's favor. It can't be easy looking into that sun right now. You see right there Mushagalusa trying the best he can to use his left hand to shield it a little bit. Not a sport you could play with sunglasses on.
Joe, I'm on the sidelines for a reason, buddy.
I don't understand how Morton does it without a cap. You see all the time different goalkeepers, whatever it may be, a ball cap, a bucket hat, they'll do something if they're staring under the sun like that. Morton just having some fun.
I've actually researched this extensively, and it's the fact that from a scientific standpoint, he's more fleet of foot because of the coverage area or lack thereof on his shin guards. Because he wears smaller shin guards, he's quicker off the line and easier to evade the sun shining rays. Can't wait for him to get home and listen to this one and go, dude, come on, bro.
It's a good thing that the gloves are that thick because it gives him some great coverage as the sun streams in. Encarnacion calls the foul against Louisville. And we will keep an eye on the officiating tonight. Joshua Encarnacion has shown 4 more cards in 7 of his last 8 matches. He was last at Lynn Family Stadium on May 18th for a racing Louisville match. Showed 4 yellow cards in that NWSL affair between Louisville and San Diego. Back to Morton. Gonzalez. Harris puts his head in there, wins it. Ownby. Back toward Harris. Was caught flat-footed. As soon as Harris returned to the lineup, it opened so much up for Louisville. Danny Cruz praiseful of Brian Ownby and what he was able to do when he was forced into that number 9 role. But everything else just falls into place so much better when you could put Harris or Lancaster where they belong at the 9.
The funniest thing to me over the course of the season is people look at the Lou City of 2022 and they look at success, the results that have come their way, some of the bigger matches that they've won, some that they've struggled in. and yet the consistency has remained there, much to the detriment of their roster. And that's not a knock on them. It's just coming off of what you just said. You've had extended periods of time where there is no Cameron Lancaster, still not. Wilson Harris has been out. You've had some of the youngsters who have struggled with form. They've had to back off. You know, there's injuries galore, and all of a sudden you're rotating guys left and right. You've got a starting 11 that looks nothing like you thought it would second or third week of the season, and yet through all of that, it's still Lou City atop the Eastern Conference, right? It is amazing to me every single year how they can reinvent themselves without reinventing themselves. And that makes sense if you understand the fact of they stick to their morals and values. It's been James O'Connor, it was John Hackworth, now it's Danny Cruz.
And it's Wilson Harris, but nobody waiting at the backside. Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com.
And to my point, almost right on point, Wilson Harris getting involved in the conversation that was. Long story short, the ability for this team to just wash, rinse, repeat, and find a way to churn out results regardless of circumstance. Few have been able to do it in the USL Championship. Louisville seems to do it every single season.
Organizations seem to rebuild while Louisville just retools on the fly. Take a look at tonight's weather report presented by Advanced ENT and Allergy. Besides simply sunny, it is 76 degrees with some wind. All the way back to Kilwine. Sharpie. Over the top, looking toward Jorge Gonzalez. Birmingham Atlanta just did kick off, and Birmingham's already up 1-0. Another team in that playoff chase here in the Eastern Conference. I guess you can't really call it a chase for Birmingham. They seem to be squarely in. More jockeying for position among the teams that will be in.
I didn't know they scored a goal inside 89 minutes. No, all due respect to Tommy Sohn and everything that's gone on for the Legion this year. They just seem to, much like San Antonio in the Western Conference recently, find a way to grind out a result. You know, the winner against Hartford Athletic, or just sticking around and picking one off in the 80th.
Only took Enzo Martinez 2 minutes tonight.
This is the one thing you want to keep an eye on tonight within this matchup, is the change that has been for the Charleston Battery. I mentioned to you how Connor Casey had switched into a 3. Now the one little tweak here is Preston Kilwine and AJ Patterson. Little touch on the inside, we'll get there in a second, but they've gone much more direct in nature, and within that, the tendency for teams is to follow suit. You get spread thin, then you try and punch back in the same manner. Got to be very careful if you're Louisville City that you don't chase that ghost. They're really good on the ball. Want to make sure that they're still giving themselves those options.
Here's Mushagalusa, a glance over at the flag, and much to his dismay, he sees that flag is up. Just brings that youthful effervescence down the left wing. It's been a massive pickup for Louisville, part of their retooling. 6 goals, 3 assists on the season. Harris. Gonzalez has options in the middle here. Played through, falling down, and looking around for a call was Harris. Only call made is for a corner kick.
Smartly done, though, from Preston Kilwine on the coverage on the near post run. But defensively, we don't give the defenders enough credit. Their ability to track back and break down the negative support coming from the opposition. Wilson Harris was on target right at the top of the 6, if not for Kilwine on the near post run.
First 5-5 corner of the match for Louisville. Swung in and headed away promptly. McCabe will get another crack at it.
Here's another 5-5 corner kick.
Second 5-5 corner in rapid succession for Louisville. Better ball this time, but the header is high from Gonzalez. This portion of tonight's game is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places, and that ball almost went into the net.
Watch the form. He actually tries to reach out towards this thing, and it comes down towards the shoulder. His head overextended, is reaching away from the body instead of driving through. And as he does, Joe, his form comes down. It comes right into the left shoulder for Jorge Gonzalez, which pops it up over the bar.
Jorge Gonzalez for Louisville over the last year and a half has been a player who would get hot, he'll get cold, and it seems like he's always on the precipice of something greater, but never quite reaches it, and they have the hope. He'll show the flashes. It's just a matter of consistency.
I can remember when they brought him in from the Timbers organization, coming off the crazy season that was in 2020. 8 goals and an assist and 10 appearances for Portland Timbers too, at that time within the USL Championship. First team signs him in April of that year of 2021, and all of a sudden you're looking around, okay, we're gonna grab him on loan, we'll see what he can do. Picks up an injury, came back much faster than expected. But to your point, there's this fluctuation in and out of form. If they could get any sort of consistency out of him, you're looking at one of the better players in the entire USL Championship.
Back to McCabe at the end line. Loose in front. Ferrone made a mess of it. Mushagalusa scored the last time these teams met. Now Dia. Jonathan Gomez-esque foray into the box for Dia up the left side. Just begging for somebody to tap it into the back post, but another chance gone by the wayside for Louisville. Williams, a bit surprised from the ground not to see a foul called there. Phil Perez was all over him.
And the one little change, I talked to you about this coming in, how the positioning for Piggott would be really interesting on the front line. And this is why recently under Connor Casey, he's had a very central role within the midfield or dropping underneath. So when you pair him on the front line next to Augustine Williams and Enoch Kwakwa, the natural tendency is for him to go to the left-hand side. He's attack-minded on the left flank. He knows how to cut in. But because he's played centrally in the past couple of games, how's that going to fluctuate? Well, they've tweaked the look now. Normally, Augie Williams is the main focal point up top with 2 underneath, and they try and find combination play through the middle or down through the channels. Instead, they've switched it where Piggott is the focal point underneath, and then the 2 are spread wide up top. Ton of separation within that front 3, trouble getting them the ball.
Dia for Mushagalusa. Another 5-5 corner kick on the way. Quarter of an hour in, and it feels like most of that time has been spent with Louisville in the corners. McCabe all the way back for a drive.
Taxi.
That's why I said drive.
Pretty sure that's where the right share lot is anyway, so apologies, Tyler Gibson. And Danny Cruz hoping for shades of Speedy Williams from the days of yore from distance. Although to your point, 15 minutes in, Lou City just peppering this entire front line for Charleston Battery, not allowing them to get on it, and then turning it around and challenging that back line.
Mushagalusa for Harris. Ownby on his horse. Gonzalez streaking down the middle and sent that way, intercepted back to Ownby. Stop me if you've heard this one, but a 5-5 corner on the way for Louisville. 5 already. To the backside for Perez. Ownby. Now McCabe. Perez. Fans Racing Louisville and their partner Zappos are hosting a back-to-school event on Monday, August 8th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Zappos Unboxed store located at Mall St. Andrews. Join us for a meet and greet with racing players Katie Lund and Gemma Bonner, as well as giveaways and special offers from Zappos. Gemma Bonner wore a red badge of honor the other night. Needed a handful of stitches during the game, got a quick wrap, came right back in. Fans loved it. Fans here doing a great job supporting both clubs here, Racing Louisville, and of course, Lou City. It looked much different when these teams last met. It was a long time ago, to be fair, and the situation was much different with Louisville traveling on short rest cross country after some Open Cup action. Charleston did a really good job of controlling large portions of that game. They scored early. It wasn't until late in the match that Mushagalusa equalized for the 1-1 finish. Much different this time around. Louisville on the front foot once again. That ball was just over the line before Ownby centered.
What a world we were living in then. Late April, all these USL Championship teams, including Lou City, still alive in the Open Cup. I remember that game vividly. It just seemed like every which way that Lou City turned, they couldn't find a way. Heads up. How is this not a card?
It might still be.
It has to be. That far away from the body, studs up, right in front of the referee. I mean, there's no play on the ball at all. Christmas has come early, though.
Just a quick chat between Encarnacion and Kwakwa. Mushagalusa. An eye toward Harris. And this comes on the heels of everything we laid out top of the broadcast and how many cards Encarnacion has been giving out of late. Figure it's going to get to at least 4 just about every game.
Joke's on us. This is my do whatever I want and get away with a pass.
Have to imagine the next time Kwakwa is into the gray area, it'll be a yellow card. No more benefit of any doubt. You have that long of a chat with the referee, you can pretty much be sure of that the next time you're not going to get away with it.
And they've changed again to try and find a way to get more players on the ball within the interior of this game. Kwakwa has come down underneath. Easy Harmon and Asensio deeper as well. They had operated in really a 3 with 2 high wingbacks. Now they've dropped into a 5 with this triangular shape on the inside. Oduro down underneath. The idea is that man right there, Robbie Crawford, he's so good with the ball at his feet, but he hasn't had the ability to combine with anyone. So they're trying to get strength and numbers, surround themselves with the ability to play out. And they have moved. Their guy right there, Augie Williams, back up to the top centrally. And then Pickett has gone a little bit further to the left. 20 minutes into the game, when pretty much all you've done is chase, you've got to find a way to work yourself into this match. And that's exactly the tactical adjustments that Connor Casey has made to try and do so.
Offside flag comes up. Negates what was a sus clearance attempt by DZ Harmon. Take a look at tonight's trivia question, brought to you by Tony's Break and Alignment. I kept this one secret from you, Devin. How many dogs were at Racing Louisville's pups at the pitch game on Friday night?
Oh, man. So, I'm going to go with, can I guess now?
Go ahead.
My guess is C, 169. Do you want to know why?
Why?
9 and 6 is 15. 5 and 1 is 6. My lucky number is 9 upside down. There you go.
I lost you about halfway through that explanation.
So I tend to go with good luck. My lucky number is 9. So
Okay.
if I can't find that number within the answer,
Okay.
I have to find a way to make it an answer.
Okay.
So that's why I'm going with C.
All right. Fair enough.
9 and 6 is 15. Add the 1 on with the 1 on the front. That's 16. There's a 6 in there. Flip it around.
It was a great night for golden retrievers, corgis, some Aussie shepherds out there.
Was there a cap on how many dogs were available?
I don't believe so. Would you cap how many dogs could enter your stadium on a fun night like that?
No. Dogs over people.
That was one of their final tune-ups the other night, Racing Louisville for the Women's Cup, which comes up shortly. Gonzalez takes it himself, stumbling, keeps his feet. Gonzalez parried away by Farrow. Owen B. Gonzalez wants another crack at it. Space for Sharpie. Possession numbers will say it's only 64 to 36 in favor of Louisville. It feels much more significant than that, given the areas in which Louisville has occupied that space with the ball. Consistently in that attacking third, and another final third entry here. Ownby flares it. Ownby. Mushagalusa Trying to keep it alive with the pressure.
They've got to make a decision here defensively where they're going to get coverage from. Kilwine has come to the middle of this back three, and in doing so, they're having trouble right now. Speed-wise, a lot of the balls coming up over the top have challenged him, and he's not as fleet of foot as Jorge Gonzalez. So as he cuts back to the inside here, he plays the angles game, but the physical nature is smartly done by the midfielder. As he progresses through, when he watches this back, he's going to realize he doesn't have to let it fly that quick, Joe. He could have taken a second or even a third touch, slowed his process down.
Harris stopped again by Farrow, spinning like a top after he came in to make the stop.
In stark contradiction to what Wilson Harris went through, slowing it down and giving himself a much better opportunity to go to goal instead of power and distance. Wilson Harris probably should have released this sooner. If you're Danny Cruz on the sideline 25 minutes in, it's going to make you cringe with all the opportunities that have gone by the wayside.
Might they pay for it? DZ Harmon the other way. They will pay for it. Augie Williams against the run of play makes it 1-0 Charleston.
It's end-to-end when it opens itself up. The separation is what we told you to keep an eye out for. If you try and fight fire with fire, it will never be extinguished, and you're spread much too thin. Look at all the space here for the Charleston battery. To be fair, Harmon, he's going for glory on the back post himself. He tries to go it alone, but the smarts, that is Augustine Williams, once again finds himself lonesome for the battery on the back post and out in front for the visitors.
Outstanding season that he has put together. The brightest spot in what has otherwise been a rather dark year for the battery. He continues to shine brightly week in, week out, and he now has 12 goals on the season. This is a very funny game that they play out there. Some way, somehow, Louisville had not yet taken a lead. And that is not a typo. It is 1 for Charleston and nothing for Louisville.
Just look at the numbers. 27 minutes in, 4 shots, 2 on target. That was the first time that the battery had hit the frame. They've almost been lapped in terms of overall passes. 65% possession for the home team. And yet, the cruelest of summers that has been for the Charleston battery has finally produced some sweet delights here on the road at Lynn Family Stadium. Obviously a massive amount of time left within this game, but the wide open nature. I asked Danny Cruz 3 questions, one of which was about how quick they could be to counter for the battery.
Good delivery from the corner. All the way out to Gibson. Mushagalusa. Gonzalez. Watch out. Kilwine acting like they never even actually hit him. McCabe goes down. Mushagalusa goes to the crossbar. And still a goose egg on the scoreboard for Louisville.
Goalkeeper had this covered, though. It's a good job positioning-wise by Hugo Farrow. Not enough contact at all. Just stand your ground. I like the fact that he doesn't dive in. And if you're Mushagalusa, you're just trying to do anything to beat the goalkeeper in this situation.
Free kick on the way for Louisville, taken quickly. Brought to you by Fifth Third. Sharpie. Elsewhere, it is 2-0 Pittsburgh over Indy. Halftime between Tampa Bay and Detroit, still scoreless there. As far as the games that have pertinence to Louisville in terms of the standings. Another Wi-Fi corner kick for Louisville. Nearly a half an hour into it. This is already 7 corner kicks taken.
Let's see where the trickery comes now, though. This is where Lou City can shine bright from dead ball situations over and over and over again. They ingrain the idea of finding a way to pick through the nooks and crannies of corners, balls from outside the box, anything short, long, you name it.
Ownby waits for it. Ownby hits it, it deflects in. Put things toward goal. Good things happen. It's 1-1.
Luck will work just fine as well. Freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That is not fine for Louisville City. Instead, outside the top of the box, another one of the faithful, Brian Ownby. The stratospheric rise continues. He was the assist man last year, continues his goal tally this year. Put it on frame, hope for some help. He gets it. They get their equalizer, his 8th of the season, and Lou City's right back in it.
Goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. You answered my question. It was going to be, is that goal number 8 on the year or an own goal? Seemed like it was going to go on target before the deflection.
Yeah, either way, that's got to be headed into the back of the net. And for Brian Ownby, I talked about the stratospheric rise. It's just the fact that every single year he continues to get better and better. This is a guy who was a teammate of head coach Danny Cruz on the youth national team level. They played together at club. Talks about the first time they met each other, walking into an elevator on the road. Danny looks at him and goes, "What's your strength?" You can't name it now for Brian Ownby because every year it's something different. When he's healthy, he can be one of the best in the game. Speed, yes. Decision making, absolutely. His vision, breaking into the final third just with explosion of pace. And I'm not talking about top end speed. It's that first and second step. Last year, 11 assists on the season, now 8 goals, both of which career highs for Brian Ownby. Turned 32 in mid-July and is aging like a fine wine.
Louisville City is looking to fill the FAM on August 13th against Tampa Bay Rowdies at 7:30 p.m. Make sure you don't miss out on action-packed match with fireworks, giveaways, and more. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at louiscity.com/tickets. Ask Danny Cruz how you make sure you don't look ahead to that game and lose sight of this Charleston game. And it was a quick brush off. He knows that his guys know what's at stake. He pointed to the game in hand that Louisville had on Tampa Bay. Granted, Tampa Bay also plays tonight, so they will still have a game in hand going into that matchup. But you continue to win while you have that game in hand, and it gives you an extra layer of cushion in the standings. That's motivation enough. Squirts through to Mushagalusa. Still Mushagalusa. Dia. All the way back to Hugo Furrow. Williams lays it off. Now Harmon. Kwakwa with some nutmeg, finds some open real estate. Perez, that's got to be the first card of the match. And it is. Brought to you by World of Beer. A.J. Patterson picks it up.
The drop down underneath is something that we haven't addressed yet for Brian Ownby within this game, but smartly done as Manny Perez overlapping run. The two of them in tandem is a pretty scary thought at their best. That right-hand flank, the counterpart production of Mushagalusa and Amadou Dia, not the same, it's just a different relationship. Both carry quite similar assets. Perez and Ownby, those long legs, and the ability to drive into the final third. Their service coming into the box. But really what's taken a step further this year for both of them are those inverting runs, Joe. It's the understanding to come back to the inside. You challenge the shape of someone from the battery, specifically Charlie Asensio. And then you do that. Cheers, Niall. Apologies.
Baptist Health is the proud partner and exclusive provider of medical support and athletic training services to Louisville City FC and Racing Louisville. Visit baptisthealth.com/ortho to learn more. Harmon created the opening goal for Charleston. Kwakwa. He was one of the players early in the year that Connor Casey was most excited to see and most disappointed in not seeing because of the injuries. Felt he would be a difference maker for the club. Gibson. Now McCabe. Ownby calling for it in space. McCabe springs Harris. Realized quickly that ball was too far out in front.
And they're asking DC Harmon to cover a ton of ground over here on the right-hand side, just in front of Leland Archer. And in doing so, it's really created a vision of a four of sorts, but when it's also done is made Damodaro drop down underneath, and so you've kind of got this flattened out midfield three in front of you of Kwakwa, Mario Piggott, and Robbie Crawford trying to operate independently on their own. It's a better job in terms of possession. The problem is defensively, although they've added depth, the width is still lacking, so it's been pretty easy for situations like this on the right and left respectively. Move through Mushagalusa, Brian Ownby, Dia, and Manny Perez. You just siphon the ball back and forth. Into the six, back onto the back line, rotated on the back line in general. Easy ins and outs for Louisville City, though certainly not the end result that they've been looking for.
Williams. Piggott wins a corner. Well, we have a quick moment. We give you the trivia answer. How many dogs were at Friday night's pups at the pitch? 157. 157.
That was going to be my next guess.
Well, you had only one more option after that.
7 and 5 is 12. 12 plus the one in front is 13. There's a 3 in there. 3 times 3 is 9. Exactly. See what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense. 157.
157
dogs.
dogs.
Talk to the Louisville faithful. We gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
A little rough. They gotta do better next time.
Oh, look at you.
From the corner, swung it toward Williams. He was waiting for it, if not for Gonzalez. In transition with the numbers committed forward from the corner. Dia wanted to spring it quickly. Opportunity gotten by the wayside. Devin, I know expected goals are not an exact science. It gives you a decent enough gauge typically. From what we've seen so far, I think it's fair to say that Louisville has created a lot more chances than Charleston has. What would you say the expected goals are right now? It's not as staggering as you'd think. As it's sent forward again here into some space for McCabe. This one might not be an expected goal, but a real one. Thoreau keeps it as an expected one.
To be fair, the only two chances that I can really think of that were quality for Louisville City, you had the strike by Mushagalusa, hit the crossbar, although Thoreau was there, and then the Jorge Gonzalez chance, right? That, you know, just outside the penalty mark, cuts it back across. I'd guess somewhere in the range of 0.6, 0.7.
0.59 for Louisville.
Okay, that's not terrible.
But there's a 9 in it, so you like it even better.
Okay. If I had to guess for the battery, well, again, there's a goal there for each. The battery have to be lower. I don't know, 0.5?
0.42.
Okay.
Not too far off. When you look at the deeper
to be fair,
numbers,
the numbers are terrible. I mean that in the sense of if you watch the game, you don't expect that, right?
Right.
I just, knowing the tendency of where those numbers tend to fluctuate compared to the actual production in front of you, that's why my mind goes there. I see those numbers more often than other people do. So
7 shots, 13 touches in the opposing 18-yard box for Louisville. Just 3 touches in the 18 for Charleston. Some of the deeper numbers that we have access to. They paint a clear picture that Louisville has been the more dominant of the two sides. Only one that matters is the 1-1 in your upper left.
we have seen some very advanced rolls from Jorge Gonzalez and Niall McCabe coming up through the middle. Nothing groundbreaking by any means. The problem is a misutilization of them. Whether it's a switch of Brian Ombie and Mushagalusa, Wilson Harris coming out of that central location. They haven't found a way to find that man right there, nor their captain, Niall McCabe, wearing 11 on the ball as we speak. Either in tandem or group play. Look at all the numbers they have at the top of the 18. They got to find a way to get him involved.
Mushagalusa.
I'd say some of that comes down to just utter decision making and playing faster. The ball about 90 seconds prior where it goes over the near touchline. Brian Ombie can't get to it. The run that had created separation came from Ombie. It's a swish. Mushagalusa goes to the other side. Ombie comes to the near touchline. When he spins off, all of a sudden, the entire back line just opens up to perfection for Niall McCabe, but nobody recognizes it. And so all of this work that's being done, it's got to be quicker. There's a shout from Danny Cruz as well. It's just got to be faster in decision making. If you play the right ball, this game actually gets very easy, at least in the way that they're trying to break it down. The Battery are playing right into their hands at this point in time. And yet, it's 1-1 and we're just moments away from the dressing room.
It was 1-1 at the finish, and these teams met back in April. Ownby. Gonzalez deflects to Mushagalusa. Right place, right time, but it won't count. McCabe trying to argue that off the deflection, it should negate the offside. It is the gray area in a gray rule, but
I would actually make the argument that he's in an offside position when the ball struck
exactly,
anyway.
that's where I was going.
See, watch right here. He's already in an offside position, so it doesn't matter where the contact occurs. He's behind the last line of defense anyway.
If the contact was intentional and it was intentionally played to him, he could be offside, but that was not intentional, so it's fine.
Correct.
Now, perhaps McCabe thinks that was intentional, but he would be wrong.
Very well. Well, that's a tape session midweek in video review. Probably on a Monday or Tuesday where you just look back and go, that's my bad boys.
Gonzalez for Harris. Harris for Ownby. Ownby for Harris. Easy for Thoreau.
And make the argument this had to come quicker here. Not in the sense that Wilson Harris needed to release it sooner, but that secondary ball, I'm leaving this for Niall McCabe because of the momentum that he's carrying. Wilson Harris has almost stopped dead in his tracks. That's not his fault. It's just the run that he was sitting on. Niall McCabe was in aggression from the top of the box. Why not let him step right through it on the instep instead of trying to come back, pick up the ball, and bring it back through?
Another Wi-Fi corner kick for Louisville. Well taken. Into stoppage time now here at the end of half number 1, presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. 1 minute tacked on.
Stoppage time is brought to you by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. 1 minute of stoppage time.
What are your thoughts if you're Connor Casey going into halftime here? You're 1-1 on the road with Louisville. You're perhaps fortunate to be 1-1, but it is still 1-1.
You literally said everything that I wanted to within that. You're on it, right? It's a ton of work that had to be done in the first 45 minutes to be in this situation. The good news is you're right where you want to be in the fact that you're tied with Blue City. Of course, you'd rather be in front, but the amount of opportunities that you've given up to Louisville City, especially in and around the top of the 18, are going to be problematic. It's created this illusion that you are within reach of this game, and the problem is they're much further than that. They've got to find a way to stay on the ball more. That doesn't mean they have to win the possession battle, but basically it's just a plethora of boondoggle right now. Everybody's running around chasing ghosts, and it's work that's being done. It doesn't really carry any value throughout the method that's going on. Find a way, progress, go direct. That's where they're at their best. Lou City, simple. You walk into the dressing room, Danny Cruz is going to say faster decisions and find a way to finish. You've done plenty to be out in front, except put it in the back of the net.
It's 1-1 between Louisville and Charleston. That was the final score when these teams met way back in early spring, and we've got 45 more to decide. But first, the Serve Pro halftime show. We're back in just a few moments. Louisville 1, Charleston 1.
Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
First-time viewers watch WDRB in the morning.
I do think watching WDRB in the morning gave me more of a feel for the local news, so it gave me more sense of what's going on at home.
That's one of the things I love about morning news. We help people start their day informed about what's happening in their community, maybe something fun that's coming up for the weekend, informed about the weather, informed about their traffic.
I think we're fortunate to where we have the resources to where we can go out and we can cover local news. I mean, we have a fleet of local reporters.
What if we told you that every time you eat, get a new pair of shoes, buy the newest game, or really purchase anything, you could be adding to your savings? With Roundup Checking, every debit card purchase is rounded to the nearest dollar, and the rounded amount is automatically put into a savings account with interest. We'll even double your savings for the first 90 days, which means you could be growing your savings even while you're making the game-winning shot. The best checking account puts money back in your wallet. Apply for Roundup Checking today, only from Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
We will do everything on the field to make sure we win.
Anything less is a disappointment.
3 years since we last lifted a trophy, and that's far too many.
We're working every single day to bring home a championship.
We started off on the right foot, and now we just got to keep going.
Louisville City FC takes on Tampa Bay Rowdies August 13th at 7:30 on WBKI. Presented by Commonwealth Credit Union. We see you differently.
What's so great about being a Kroger And best of all, more rewards, like double fuel points on everything you buy. Experience a new level of membership starting as low as $59 a year with Boost by Kroger Plus. Learn more at Kroger.com.
Halftime score brought to you by ServPro, the official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. 1-1 between Lou City and Charleston, but it's bigger than just a game this week. A little bit more about Super Drew. Here, the one-day contract signing for Louisville.
So Drew was diagnosed Christmas Eve, 2018, with medulloblastoma, which is a grade 4 glioma. It's a very serious cancerous brain tumor. We spent a year at Norton's just inpatient, and then a year afterwards doing stuff in clinic, and we're still have follow-ups and stuff, but he went from not being able to walk, talk, drink, or anything to playing with, you know, USL players out here on the practice pitch. So needless to say, we're like super stoked where we're at right now. So, you know, we, for all the stuff that he went through when he was at Norton's, nothing could ever make any of that better, but to be able to come out here and do this kind of stuff with him and have these one-of-a-kind experiences, I mean, these are memories he's going to have forever. So we're really appreciative of Lou City and, of course, Norton Children's Foundation to make all this possible. Oh, it's awesome. I mean, he, you know, he's a soccer lover, always has been. So to come out here and to do this one-day contract and to have that jersey made for him, it's, like I said, once-in-a-lifetime deal, and I can't wait till Saturday.
Yeah, so we're excited to welcome Drew to the team. This is a special day for all of us. We talk to the players a lot about inspiration, about not taking for granted the opportunity that you have to do what you do every day, and I think he's a perfect example of that. He's a fast young kid. I'm excited to see his wheels out here today. And again, as I've said, this is a special day to have a young boy like him sign with the team.
One of the most outstanding aspects of all the USL clubs still is what they are able to do in the community. Is at the latest event from Lou City FC. One more time, your halftime score brought to you by ServPro. 1-1. More after this.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
I'm on that routine. I'm on that routine.
Did you know over 10 million Camrys have been built right here in Kentucky?
That's a lot of cameras.
Made in America means something to Toyota. That's why they've invested over $8.5 billion in the Bluegrass State.
And that's helped keep over 22,000 jobs here in Kentucky.
Toyota is already building for the future with 12 different electrified vehicles.
Including hybrid versions of Camry, Avalon, and the best-selling RAV4.
All 3 built in Kentucky. The more you know, the more you'll drive Toyota.
Let's go places.
Sun descending in Louisville turns the sky a shade of purple as the boys in purple are 1-1 against the Charleston Battery. We look around USL Championship with some news and notes. Hard to believe it is already August. We're about 2 months away from the conclusion of the regular season. And we are right around the sweet spot of the summer right now, where you're still seeing a lot of transactions. You're still seeing a lot going on around the league. And you're seeing teams get hot at the right time. Tampa Bay unbeaten the last 12. Right now they're scoreless against Detroit. And how about Sacramento? Can't talk about them enough. You were there. You experienced it. Was that one of the top crowds you've ever been a part of, whether as a fan or as a broadcaster?
100%. The only thing that came close to me was getting the opportunity to experience Champions League earlier this year with Seattle Sounders taking down Pumas, of course. Another cup competition. But for Sacramento Republic, becoming the first team since the Charleston Battery of 2008 to reach the Open Cup final, could be the first team to win it since 1999. Of course, a very different opponent in a high-flying Orlando City compared to Sporting Kansas City and Peter Vermees that have been struggling as of late.
Take a look at the scores from around the league. Talk about Louisville. You talk about Tampa Bay, a team that was once perhaps an insipid pick to make a run in the postseason. Pittsburgh, they're up 2-0 going on to a victory against Indy, and Bob Lilly's boys are rolling.
Loudon actually just took a 1-0 lead against Los Dos as well. That's a big one for Indy because it's not just the fact that they're losing to Pittsburgh and they're losing a game, but if Miami FC can go on the road, get a result at New Mexico United, coupled with the Pittsburgh win, that would put Miami 12 points ahead of Indy 11 with only 12 games to go. And if you listen to the great Nicholas Murray of USL Championship talking about historically with statistics how it plays out, if you have more points than games available, you're in trouble, and they would be dead even. Not looking good for Mark Lowry and his boys in the Eastern Conference.
Next week, Louisville, Tampa Bay. Tonight, San Diego, San Antonio. If I told you they're playing at the same time, you can only watch one of those 2 games, which one do you watch?
Oh, that's so messed up, man. You know someone's going to be listening and yelling at me back. Oh, Devin, you pick this game. I would say right now, if I had to pick right now, I'm picking San Diego and San Antonio, only because the identity for the other 2 teams in the East are set. San Antonio's been up and down. San Diego, very different in terms of style. I want to see those 2 face off. And now, talk to me at playoff time.
We'll see. We'll see next week when Louisville takes on Tampa Bay. But we'll watch Louisville take on Charleston for the next 45 in just a few moments.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Come on, Brian.
Dad, look.
Brian, come on!
I'm Courtney.
I'm Brian.
Ready, Brian? Summer won't last forever, but you can go out and make memories that will during Toyota's National Sales Event.
Save big on the roomy new Toyota Highlander, like this electrified Highlander Hybrid with fuel savings of $3,000. Save even more with 1.9 APR financing.
Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
At U of L Health Urgent Care Plus, the plus makes all the difference. You get convenient, world-renowned care that's backed by a network of academic expertise, less wait time, plus more advanced technology. Compassionate care plus no appointment necessary. It all adds up to a smart choice for the best care close by. So don't put your health on hold. That's the power of you.
From first steps to first dance. From diapers to dorm room, high chairs to high school. At Norton Children's, we know caring for kids is about being there every day along the way. That's why we're here just for kids, for all the little things, the big things, and everything in between. Norton Children's, for all the care along the way.
Halftime score brought to you by Sir Pro, official cleanup and restoration partner of Lou City FC. It is 1 for Louisville and 1 for Charleston as we take a look at the stats from half number 1, of which most of them belong to Louisville, but didn't factor into the scoreline all that much.
They gave themselves a lot of opportunities in front of goal to the tune of 10 shots, 4 of which actually hit the 8x8. But within that, they started to create separation within their ranks. Now, that can prove lucrative for sure. The problem is, though, is that you start to expose yourself in other areas. The chances that came, they were wide open in nature. Love the runs that I saw by Jorge Gonzalez and Niall McCabe coming through the midfield, progressing forward. But it was always going to be the space open and the counter going the other direction for the Charleston Battery. DZ Harmon, he's trying to go for a strike here. Make no mistake about it. This is picked out to the bottom corner, going for glory. Watch the momentum, comes across. It's not the best, but Augie Williams doesn't care. Falls right in his path. He is a bit behind Wes Sharpie, but doesn't pick up the runner. Augie Williams picked up his 12th goal of the season. A response from Lou City. From distance, Brian Ownby, deflection. 1-1 Lou City. His 8th on the season. That's a career high for Brian Ownby. As mentioned in the first half, his 11 assists last year were a career high. 32 years of age, he just keeps getting better and better.
Halftime stats brought to you by River City Flooring. And again, it's really all going in Louisville's favor statistically, except for that first column.
Yeah, I look at the fact that when you've been on the ball that much and you don't have anything to show for it, yes, they have the goal. This should be a 3 or 4-1 game with the amount of opportunities and quality of opportunities. Niall McCabe, Jorge Gonzalez, Muchagalusa, to name a few. The fact that you can name that 3 that quickly, Joe, is going to be a problem for Danny Cruz, and that's going to be about decision-making. Guys, what do you want out of this game? Tampa Bay Rowdies just scored. They're up 1-0. They're going to know exactly what's going on. Don't let them think that they're not scoreboard watching. Absolutely they are. This is one of the smartest organizations in the entire USL Championship. They know what's at stake. Second 45 minutes, let's go out and prove something. Connor Casey and co, they have nothing to lose. They got to start to play like it. It's got to be better in the second half if they want to hold on.
And scoreboard watching, because while we were in that last commercial break, after we showed you the scoreboard, Tampa Bay made it 1-0 over Detroit. So in the live table, Tampa Bay in first, Louisville in second. And we're underway in half number 2. Charleston from right to left in the white and yellow, and Louisville from left to right in the purple. Through for Harris. Ownby streaking down the middle. Ownby turning. Ownby falling. Still with it. Goes down. No call made. Danny Cruz was seated comfortably in his tactical area. He sprung up and got right in the ear of the 4th official immediately. There is Danny Cruz. Had to turn out of the way. That ball saved on the line.
Open up, AJ. Open up again.
Totsch battling Williams. All the way back to Morton. Don't underestimate how big it is for Louisville to have Morton back after they missed him for a few weeks there with the injury.
I'll be interested to get your take on this sequence that was at the other end of the field, because to me, there's 2 schools of thought on it, one of which is going to be the contact that occurs. The second part of it, though, is the perseverance by Brian Ownby as he continues forth, the referee trying to do the right thing and play advantage in the situation. And as he goes forward, his momentum just sort of carries him into the path of the goalkeeper. Watch the first touch as he cuts back across here. Great job by Wilson Harris noticing the run right here. That's a foul right there, but he pushes through it, and then his momentum just takes over. Because he stays up for me and the referee allows it to go, that's why he's not calling a pen. If Ownby goes down the first time, you can then point to the spot. Fair enough?
I think it's a penalty on the Archer contact itself at the end there. His momentum was taking him down.
But even though he does It's the initial contact, turns, then continues, then he loses balance.
Part of it was lost balance. Part of it was Archer helped him the rest of the way down. Now from the free kick, and we'll see if we can get another look at it once we have a lull in the action, because it is a very close bang-bang play.
We won't.
Piggott. Patterson. Piggott again. Somehow squirts through. Piggott. And cleared. You turned that question on me just because I asked you the San Diego, San Antonio one. That was my payback.
Absolutely. Someone's got to buy dinner.
Owen B.
There's a ball.
Feeds Mushagalusa. Mushagalusa's shot blocked. Out for another Wi-Fi corner kick. All right, tiebreaker here. We take one more close look at it. I'm with you. The first challenge from Patterson there. If he goes down, penalty.
100%.
His momentum's carrying him down, but he's still cut out from underneath by Archer for me. His left leg is taken out by Archer
even though he's already leaning at the time that challenge occurs.
If his left leg weren't taken out by Archer, I think he could have whipped it around and put it goalward. But
For
his
you,
left
it's a
leg is
penalty,
taken
no
out.
problem.
Penalty, no problem.
I can't believe I'm arguing the other way.
McCabe from the corner. Perez heads it across goal. Farrow punches away.
We can end on this. You can understand why the referee didn't call it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Referees get hornswoggled enough on near calls like that in the box. Sometimes you give the benefit of the doubt to the defense. And a set piece here for Louisville. A good spot.
Just chasing right now a ton if you're the Charleston Battery. Been very impressed with the maneuverability by DJ Harmon out on that right-hand side. He's had to cut in a ton, and the restricted nature that he's not used to. Further and further, he's had to come back onto this back line to help out that right-sided shape for the Charleston Battery next to Leland Archer. The way that they pivot within this three, they do a really good job of adding an extra layer to it, making it a back four. Asensio, of course, on the left, been much higher. He's been very quiet in this game, Charlie Asensio, the counterpart to DZ Harmon.
Fifth, third free kick. McCabe goes for goal, puts it just wide. Farrow was worried.
The issue you run into if you're the Charleston Battery is trying to pick out the near post for immediate option. That is Amadou Dia. Talked right around the 30-minute mark in the first half. The overlapping runs that can be from dead balls. Amadou Dia provided that extension. McCabe recognized the fact that he did have a tiny window to operate through. Picks the poison. And the antidote was right there. Almost took a little deflection off the wall. He's calibrating now, McCabe. He's had a couple glimpses this half. Excuse me, this game.
I was just ready to ask you about McCabe. He seems more active tonight than he has been recently. More on that in a second. Mushagalusa waits up for it and finishes it. The hesitation, the finish. It's his second goal of the year against Charleston.
Talked to you extensively in the first half about Brian Ownby and his ability to cut in. But how about the inversion by Amadou Dia? Because as he cuts, he restricts the overall movement by the Charleston Battery. Everybody starts to gravitate towards where the next run is going to come from. Your mind fluctuates in the wrong direction, and they forget about the easiest route. It's Mushagalusa coming from outside in. He holds the width of the play, starts to create that diagonal just in between Leland Archer and Preston Kilwine. It's put on a platter, and he slides it into the near post. The little cut back across, goalkeeper gets caught cheating. You're wide in one area, you're wrong in the other. Mushagalusa knows it, and Louisville City have their lead.
His second of the year against Charleston, and his grand total has now reached 7. And that goal is presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. Asensio trying to answer right back toward Williams. Racing Louisville is looking to fill the FAM on August 27th against the Chicago Red Stars. Fill the FAM will have fireworks, giveaways, and more. Make sure you don't miss out. Tickets going fast. Get yours now at racingloufc.com/tickets. Outstanding sequence altogether on the goal from Mushagalusa. But between the run, the hesitation to get it by the defender, and then the finish through the legs of the keeper, what's the best aspect of that?
It's got a little bit of everything, doesn't it? And the movement off the ball as well, because if you hold your run centrally, that space doesn't open up for Mushagalusa, because you can run right into his path. You're basically blocking his ability to step in through the middle. Counter argument, if Amadou Diaz stays to the outside, that ball never makes its way there because he doesn't have the ability to slot it through. Those are the little moments that you look back on as a Lou City player at the end of the season that can add much more merit to the overall product that you've brought to the field. The difference is that situation right there seems to play out almost every single game for Lou City. It's just in different dimensions, and they had different paths to it. Mushagalusa, one of the players that, you know, the young side of things that we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast. Wilson Harris, I'm sure that Lou City faithful have heard this a couple of times this season, but to take seasoned vets within the organization like Adel Piccolo or Niall McCabe and pair them with youngsters, that's difficult enough to do. Yet alone, guys who have experience all over this league, including a Tyler Gibson, who used to be part of the opposition in more ways than one. FC Cincinnati, Indy 11, Amadou Diaz, Western Conference, Phoenix Rising, Sporting Kansas City. It's a melting pot of greatness that doesn't always add up to a positive recipe. And yet, the front office, coaching staff, and players always seem to find themselves on the positive side of things.
Trio of changes coming here. DZ Harmon out for Matt Sheldon, Yvel Perez in for Romario Piggott, and Mauro Sacchero into the match as well. Sacchero in there for Aduro. All subs brought to you by MHS Global. There was a time very early in the season where for the first couple of weeks, it seemed to be a common theme throughout all broadcasts, whether you were on it or anybody for that matter. We keep dropping it in. No, it's not a bad thing, which is rare whenever we're teeing it up like this with you.
Keep going.
But it would be sprinkled in. Watch out for all of the players who were vultured from the now gone SKC2 from the league. You've got 15 goals between Harris and Mushagalusa.
Something's gone right.
For those two, at least.
Thank you very much, Peter Vermees. Right, Paulo Nagamura, of course, now with the Houston Dynamo organization, but at the helm for Sporting Kansas City 2, as they're known as, Swell Park Rangers for a little while. They have done a magnificent job of really instilling great core values within these players. And for me, it's not just the individual capability, it's the understanding of a variety of systems. You know, they are Wilson Harris and Mushagalusa. When you look at them as specific examples for Louisville City, there's not that much different in terms of how they're asked to play compared to what they did at Sporting. Now, the difference is here, it's more of a collective effort defensively. They've got to drop back deeper. There's a lot more chasing. Their front three operated on its own in a ton of situations. So that's not the case here. That's the biggest difference you're going to get. But structurally, they are capable of venturing out of these isolated positions. So if Mushagalusa comes deeper, he knows how to field into someone else within the run of play. He can switch sides as well, just like Brian Ownby can. We've seen Wilson Harris, who's great as that main piece up top that you're looking to play into, but he comes down in. He does the dirty work. He plays into guys moving forward.
Flag up on Mushagalusa.
Case in point. Drop down in, get beat up a little bit. And that just continues. You know, Peter Kuich is another one that you could throw a name in there.
Danny Barbier.
Danny Barbier. Who's the other young man? He's at San Diego now. This is going to be a problem.
You can't see it at home, but we're staring at each other trying to figure this out. Mateo Bunbury has popped up now. He had a detour and then came back to USL.
Oh, I can see him in my head. Redhead.
Oh,
Camden Riley.
Cam Riley.
There it is, Cam Riley. Sorry, buddy. A lot of respect for his game, but same thing, right? Like, he was a Pacific player, got drafted, goes to Sporting Kansas City too, a couple of seasons. RGV picks him up. Now he's this Swiss Army knife that backline 6, 8, 10, kind of does whatever he needs to do. And that's the MO of a lot of those guys, is they work hard, right? It's sort of that Midwesterner mentality that I'm going to outwork you and do whatever it takes. It just so happens that a ton of them have a high ceiling for talent.
Some of that Midwestern hospitality too. Landon Donovan just recently shared a fun story where Cam Riley helped Tomas Amon get to a doctor's appointment after his car broke down. Gibson making Perez work down the flank. Too far out ahead. The official injury report, by the way, this evening for Louisville saw Lancaster, Soler, and Winder out. Look out at the back end here. Harris closing in, commits the foul. And those are three very important players for Louisville, who, don't forget, they'll be adding at some point, they hope, down the stretch.
Playing out of the back almost goes horribly wrong. It doesn't happen for the Charleston Battery. Wilson Harris does him a favor, creating the contact against Hugo Farreau. Here comes that high line once again. The press in full force for Louisville City. They just squeeze the game out of you. 2-1, they hit a little bit of a lull, and then all of a sudden, everybody on that front foot. Look at how high defensively. Just a moment ago, everybody packed into a 45-yard span.
Yvel Perez commits the foul.
It's the one area that you have to be wary of if you're in a purple jersey tonight, is how much are you willing to step over and move past that line of confrontation. You are asking a lot more downhill running defensively from fresh legs as well. Sachero jumps onto the front line with Yvel Perez. With the addition of those two into it, Ina Kwakwa comes deeper. They flatten out the midfield shape much more so than we saw in the first half. Of course, Augustine Williams is staying very high. But the three, I still maintain that you've got to find a way to get Charlie Asensio into this game.
Here is Asensio. If this result does hold, Charleston will slip to 3-16-4. It's safe to say the eyes are more toward next season now than this season, That playoff line well out of reach. But it's been more positive from them over the last month. You think that a switch was flipped in the Birmingham game for them. And he's played out ahead of Ownby. It will end up at Farrow's feet.
Easy, that's it. No.
That's it. Buckler's gone for the night. Being cooled down now by Patterson. Cards brought to you by World of Beer.
This is unfortunate for Enoch Kwakwa too, because he is an extremely talented individual, but the Canadian lets his emotion gets the best of him. Immediately knows that he's gotten himself in trouble, but the turn. And we talked about confrontation about 2 minutes ago. The physical side of things cannot get in your way here. Mentally, you've got to retain your presence of mind and the little pivot back across. You don't like the call? Okay, have a few words and turn around. Instead, right up into the path of the referee, creates contact chest to chest. 99.9% of the time, you're going to be sent to the showers. Exactly what happens. And that'll be a fun one for the disciplinary committee. Turned this game on its head. 2-1, still within reach. And now, an afterthought after that mistake by Enoch Kwakwa.
File that one away, perhaps under commentator's curse, just as I'm trying to talk about what's been positive for them over the last month. You get a moment like that from Kwakwa. And now what was already going to be tough on the road against Louisville, down a goal in late stages, becomes that much tougher. Now also down a man. Totsch. Ownby. Mushagalusa slips it through. Dia puts it behind Ownby. Joella's Hot Chicken is serving up just the right amount of spice with their Loose City Slider Pack. $5 from every pack sold, donated toward the Loose City and Racing Louisville Youth Academy with 7 heat levels to choose from. Joella's Hot Chicken isn't just about the heat, it's about the flavor.
Matchup done underneath now. Oh, great ball put through.
Harris has Ownby for support. Ownby.
It's just about to say to you the matchup down underneath with Morris Sachero paired next to Robbie Crawford. Sachero, one of those guys that he does, although like being on the ball, doesn't necessarily enjoy the responsibility of tracking back. So as Crawford comes up underneath, you're going to see a separation between those two within the middle of the field. There's a good look at it right now. You step through. McCabe, Jorge Gonzalez, and Tyler Gibson should be able to have their way with those spots, especially the way that they're pinching Mushagalusa in on that far side.
Here's Harris, chance to make it 3. He does. Up a man, now up 2 goals. It's the 9th of the season for Wilson Harris.
You asked me about the talent that Sporting Kansas City organization has produced domestically in the United States. We addressed the systems. How different was it for Mushagalusa and Wilson Harris, and we pinpointed the responsibilities defensively compared to what they had to do. I said in the 9th spot, a lot more chasing. They are that first line. They've got to step in, apply the press, push guys into awkward situations, but this is just downright rude from Wilson Harris. Great little challenge outside the top of the 18, and then the first touch after that, positive in nature, gives himself options, picks out the bottom corner, and for the first time since June 19th, we've seen Wilson Harris find pay dirt and double the lead.
Goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. Kentucky Lottery. They're in stoppage time now in Florida. Tampa Bay still 1, Detroit still nothing.
That's it. Just went final seconds ago.
Perfect.
There it is.
Right on time. And with that, it means in the live table, Tampa Bay 48 points, 23 matches. Louisville 49 points, 22 matches. The number 2.1 is significant in circles in Louisville. That's the number they're chasing in terms of points per game. Why? Because they want all roads to go through Lynn Family Stadium. And historically speaking, on average, teams who win their conference in USL Championship have 2.1 points per game at the end of the season. Some outliers, of course. That's why it's an average. But right now, they're at 2.23 Louisville. Tampa Bay at 2.08. So they're both right there at that 2.1 mark. They meet next week. Louisville does still have the game in hand, so they know that even with a draw next week, they're still in terrific shape in that race. But it is going to be a photo finish between those two, and it should not come as a surprise when you look at what the last 2 Eastern Conference Finals have been. Are we going to make it a hat trick, is the question by the time we get to the end of October. Or I guess at that point into November. Here's Asensio. They're down a man, they're down 2 goals. They have to commit everything forward now, Charleston. Sachero. Let's take a look at tonight's nugget of the match presented by Chick-fil-A. Here is Amadou Dia on it now. Perez. This is what you can do when you've got that extra space playing a team down a man. Louisville working that space. McCabe, Ownby.
Just like that, the game's changed. I mean, for the Charleston Battery, said they were within reach in the first half. A couple of balls over the top. You and I talked really a deep dive about expected goals, both for and against, how close in nature they were. Start of the second, yes, it's 2-1, but you're still right there. You've got to find a way to more adequately manage the game. And then all of a sudden, it's the goal, it's the red card, and faster than you can say Beetlejuice, 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 things have turned themselves on their heads. And the game's gotten away from you.
Ownby. Changes on the way for Louisville. Serrano, Mogul, Bone on the way in. That'll be it for Tyler Gibson. All subs brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Wilson Harris also exits. Scoreline like this, up a man at the luxury of giving those three players some time off the rest of the evening. Here is Mogul. Nervy pass with his first ball. Great ball through to Ownby. It seemed at the time the spin took it away from him. Ownby. Loudon 2-0 over LA also went final. More pertinent to the Western Conference playoff race than the Eastern Conference. Pittsburgh held on 2-0 against Indy. As we just mentioned, 1-0 Tampa Bay over Detroit. Birmingham 4, Atlanta 0. Memphis 2, Hartford 1. And 15 minutes in, New Mexico and Miami are scoreless. Serrano. Serrano's ball, not a bad one, earns a corner. Brought to you by Wi-Fi. With a quarter of an hour remaining. Louisville cruising toward a victory. Six wins and a draw in their last 7. This will make it 8 unbeaten for the boys in purple. Mogul. Bone for Mushagalusa, just wide. Crowd cheers as Mogul keeps it in. Now Serrano. Still Serrano. Back to the corner. Fans head to Twitter to vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Poll will be open for the next 10 minutes. Vote now at twitter.com/LouCity. Another one. th13th Wi-Fi corner kick of the match for Louisville. Wi-Fi got its money's worth tonight. Mushagalusa. Gonzalez for Mogul. The 4 options, by the way, for man of the match: Ownby, Mushagalusa, McCabe, and Dia.
I vote Dia's baby. Option E. That's the other right in. Only fair. That's a good ball right there.
Mogul for Ownby. Ownby wants to be man of the match himself, was looking for a second goal. Great snag by the fella in the Estopanol end. Aiden Apodaca into the match for AJ Patterson.
Connor Casey just trying to chase the match here, and Aiden Apodaca stepping in for Patterson on the back line, adding one more to the attack. Easy enough for Robbie Crawford to drop in and help out defensively, but they've got to find a way. Inside 15 minutes to go to get some sort of extension here. Alex Dexter onto the field as well for Charlie Asensio, who really just never got going within this game. All due respect to him. A good job that's been done on that right-hand flank. Manny Perez has been magnificent in the one-on-one matchups, provided that balance. Exactly what they needed.
Out in front of Gonzalez. Mogul taken down, and that'll be a yellow. Brought to you by World of Beer.
Frustration setting in even further for the Charleston Battery, wondering what do they have to do to remain constant within some of these games. Same argument against Sacramento Republic. They were able to draw blood at the tail end of the match against Switchbacks FC. Yvel Perez, his frustration boiling over. Looking around, going for Rizzle, still within this game.
Fifth third free kick. Usually a seniority might take over in a case like this between Dia and Mogul, but up a man, 10 minutes to go. Why not let the young one have a fly? He does take it. Froze the keeper, put it wide of the wall. Offside flag was up anyway for Gonzalez, in the line of sight of the keeper.
Gotta love the lyrical stylings of Danny Cruz on the sideline, just barking at the fourth official, trying to find a way to mood himself throughout these matches. It's like a board game to him, you know, piece after piece moving. What's the best way to strategically get a result?
And it's not just about this one game either. Eventually that fourth official might be on a Louisville game again.
The argument that he's making too is on that set piece situation, he's calling Jorge Gonzalez up. First of all, he's behind the wall. The ball goes the other direction. In my view, correct me if I'm wrong, although in an offside position doesn't have a direct impact on the play. Now, the counter argument could be the fact that, okay, well, maybe his movement drew the goalkeeper a certain direction, so it's subjective in nature. But he said, if he's there, just blow the play dead now. Now, that's never going to happen, of course, because the referee's going to let you get yourself into trouble. And he said, it's never happened to us before, so I can understand some of the arguments coming from him. That seems like a meal with the fourth official after the game. Sit down, you know, some Joella's fried chicken, coleslaw. Talk it over, you know? Friends, or not, find an amicable platform to agree upon things.
Friend or foe, you decide. Mushagalusa, right to Faro. Subs brought to you by MHS Global Above and Beyond. Mushagalusa out for Masoso. Ownby will take a seat as well. Ownby, Mushagalusa, Harris, the 3 goal scorers have all since subbed off. Del Piccolo now on as well. All smiles all around for Louisville. Next weekend is the big one. Now we'll have ramifications come October. Home against the Tampa Bay Rowdies before another stretch of road matches. Louisville, don't forget, hit that lull earlier in the season from April into May, sort of. Some of their wins in April, some of the results weren't quite convincing. In May, had a few losses, a couple of draws sprinkled in. Part of that was the travel, part of that was the condensed schedule. Heavy emphasis, though, on the travel. And that's coming up again. After that home game against Tampa Bay next week, 3 on the road against Detroit City, Miami, Indy 11. They come back for a quick home game against Sacramento, and then it's 2 more on the road against Tulsa and Pittsburgh. Played back across in the middle. Nothing going well right now for Charleston. Serrano. The flip side of a road stretch like that coming up means you eventually will have the games at home once more. And Louisville does finish with 4 out of 5 at home, when things mean the most. Williams has the tally tonight for Charleston. All the way back to Farrell. Has to get there.
Easy. We're just looking for an excuse to give him another one. I give a lot of credit to Augustine Williams throughout this season. You and I were talking about it at halftime, how he hasn't been scooped up, and that's not a knock against the Charleston Battery. He's just playing that well and has been the brightest light for the Charleston Battery all season long. He does it all. We've seen him do it from free kick opportunities, great in the air. There's a look moments ago, putting his body in harm's way, getting jackknifed all over the pitch because of the physical presence that he creates for himself, tackle after tackle, and still willing to step in and take the brunt of it.
Del Piccolo spun to the ground. Mogul picks up the loose change. Over the top to Serrano. Serrano. Farrell there. Charleston struggling to play out of the back now. Louisville all over everything. Napo Masoso, he wants it on the fun. Instead, it's Gonzalez. It's deflected out of play. Out for a corner. Baptist Health Louisville provides nationally recognized orthopedic care locally. Learn more about their high-performing hospital ranking and knee replacement from U.S. News and World Report at baptisthealth.com/ortho. Mogul, second crack at it. All the way through, it falls, stopped by Farrell. Rebound initially missed by Totsch and then sent clear. Masoso brings it back in. Farrell was beaten off the deflection, much like he was on the first goal. Fortunately, it goes wide. And with that, we give you tonight's man of the match, brought to you by Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training. Enoch Mushagalusa scored the second goal of the match turned out to be the winning goal for Louisville. Mogul wide. Another corner. I know there's been matches in which a lot of corners were taken, but 16 has to be up near some sort of USL Championship record. 16 is a lot of corners. They work this one back to Dia. Dia drives it in, Totsch wide open, clinical. With a score line like this, up a man, you can work on things like that. And that one from the training ground needs no more work. It's already perfect.
Now, isn't that fantastic from Totsch? Still within reach, the golden boot. A bit of a stretch for sure, but Super Drew providing all of the emotion necessary, all of the effort possible for this Louisville City squad to add to their tally. Of course it was going to be a defender. Of course it was going to be a center back, and it had to be Totsch. Tucked in, locked in, shagadelic and loving every second of it.
6 on the season for Totsch. I mean, that's a striker's goal. Opening up the foot on the volley out of midair.
They're never going to hear the end of it in the locker room now.
I mean, he wears the shirt tucked like Zlatan. Why not?
He's old school. I respect it. I did the same thing.
Into stoppage time now, brought to you by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. Just 2 minutes tacked on to the end here. And if anything changes, all it will be is the final score line, because the points will all be awarded to Louisville tonight. Still might be a change in that score line here. Apodaca sliding through, Sharpie to block it. One last yellow card issued to Sharpie, brought to you by World of Beer. This will likely be the last play of the match. Crawford. This will make 8 unbeaten for Louisville. 4 of the last 7 seasons, they've had an unbeaten streak of at least 10. They're 2 away from it, but the next test will be the toughest one. Home against Tampa Bay next week. That does it from Louisville. 4-1 in favor of the home side. 4 different goal scorers adds up to 3 points. And they are unbeaten in 8, with 7 of those being wins. And with that, we will take a look at tonight's move of the game, brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. There really only was one that it could be when all was said and done. Enoch Mushagalusa, the hesitation before his goal. Brilliant.
A little cut back across here, and Amadou Dia, he starts the move coming back in. But watch the head by Mushagalusa. Notices it's full steam for Kilwine. Gets him to overcommit to the ground. And the second that he does, he owns him. The cut back across, right into the negative space. You challenge the goalkeeper. Pick either direction that you want to go. You add insult to injury right through the 5-hole and produce results better than we had seen all night long up until that point.
Mushagalusa, 2 of his goals this season have come now against Charleston. His tally up to 7. Wilson Harris leads the way for the squad with 9. Sean Totsch on their heels. He's got 6 himself, and Ownby's tally now at 8. So all of the 4 leading scorers on the season for Louisville all added 1 more tonight. And it adds up to 3 points in the 4-1 victory. We'll be back in a few moments to wrap this one up from Lynn Family Stadium. Super Drew out for a few last touches of the ball. He had a lot of fun at the park tonight, and why not with a scoreline like that?
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
During Toyota's national sales event, we're working hard to deliver new Toyotas so you can enjoy the last of summer. From hitting the rapids with a RAV4 hybrid, to kicking up sand in a Tundra, or camping out in a Highlander. Hey guys!
And nobody has more all-wheel drive vehicles like the legendary Toyota 4Runner. Get a rugged new 22 Tacoma with 1.9 APR financing, plus you get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
Imagine your bright career when you join the U of L Health Team. Now, imagine receiving free tuition to the University of Louisville. At U of L Health, we believe in investing in you and the power of education. So now, your U of L Health family has college tuition covered for all employees and their families. Just imagine the possibilities. That's the power of you.
Post-game presented to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. A few last cracks added on his one-day contract for Super Drew, getting the most out of that contract he signed, and he's got a winning percentage of 1,000. A big victory tonight for Lou City. Have to imagine that Super Drew's emotions sparked that in some capacity. And on a night where they scored 4 goals, he adds a few more for himself as he's down on the pitch after the match. A look at tonight's game summary presented by Liquor Barn. Don't forget, Charleston did score first in this game, but that would be the last we heard from them offensively.
Let's start with this. 25 shots in this game from Louisville City. That's their single season high total. The problem was they went down 1-0. Didn't track back well enough on the back line. Great job by Augie Williams. He's so good at finding that gray area on the back shoulder runs between the 2 center backs. He does so. They go out 1-0, but it was short-lived. Just 4 minutes later, Brian Ownby from distance, the kiss, into the corner, and it's 1-1.
Thought initially maybe it's an own goal, but that looked clear. That ball might have been earmarked for the top corner, if not for the deflection. Well-earned 8th of the season, despite the deflection. And the other way, Mushagalusa with the move of the game to make it 2.
This was the area, though. It was 2 goals in 15 minutes. Amadou Dia, Mushagalusa, 52nd minute. Great ball in, better finish, and the individual effort cut back across by Mushagalusa. Starts on the left-hand flank, finishes about 5 yards from goal. A beautiful one put into the back of the net. His 7th on the season, their 3rd of the night, but there would be more. Wilson Harris, watch the press. Not the greatest of touches by Preston Kilwine, but it is by Wilson Harris. It's just enough pressure applied through. Totsch gets out in front of him. You're one-on-one with the goalkeeper. Pick out the bottom corner, and just like that, it goes to 3-1.
Rough night for Kilwine. Beaten by Mushagalusa on the 2nd goal. Gives it away here to Harris on the 3rd. And then the red card would come for Charleston, which would make things that much more difficult. You're down 2 goals. You're on the road against Louisville. And then you go down a man. And Louisville as you'd imagine in a situation like that, will go ahead and find a fourth. To be fair, they could have had more throughout the evening, but they'll settle for just 4.
Well, we just mentioned to you the fact that they had 25 shots, 10 of which were able to hit the frame. And you look at the numbers throughout the season of where Lou City are at their best. Conversion rate. The best teams in the entire USL Championship that have taken down the title have finished at 17% or better. Lou City coming into this match, we're at 19. Rowdies, 20. San Diego, 21. So it gives you an idea of the company that they keep. Tonight, 4 out of the 10 that ended up into the back of the net were done in spectacular fashion. The possession numbers actually narrowed themselves as the game went on. Lou City kind of put this on cruise control. And what was sort of a warm-up test, maybe not the same opponent for what they're going to be seeing in a week's time against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. The Rowdies coming off a victory as well. A bit more hard-fought against Detroit City, but a prelude what could be the Eastern Conference matchup 7 days from now against the Eastern Conference Giants, 1-2.
Wilson Harris signing the autographs. Tonight's final score brought to you by Gorski Law Office, 4 for Louisville and 1 for Charleston. Terrific evening here at Lynn Family Stadium for all involved, fans, players, and of course Super Drew. They might have to think about signing him to a contract for the game against Tampa Bay next week as well. Provided the spark necessary for the boys in purple tonight to take home the 4-1 victory. That does it for us here from Louisville. For our broadcast partner Devin Kerr and the crew that makes this possible, I'm Joe Malpa saying good night. All 3 points go to Lou City.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.